The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Aging Horizons. Today we have a very important guest with us. This guest will be talking about Senior and Long-Term Care Division. She has a lot of information for us. She'll be telling us the different services and all of that. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
We love to get outdoors, so if we have any free time, that's pretty much where you can find us.
Bailey Tolson, East Helena.
We love to hike. Any chance we get, we're out there. And of course, there's always date night.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it. To learn if you're eligible, call 1-800-224-6034.
We love date night.
Medicare loses $60 million in Montana each year, $70 billion nationally. Medicare processes 4.5 million claims a day. They don't know who your doctor is, but you do. Mistakes can happen.
Read your Medicare statements and call Montana Senior Medicare Patrol if you see anything unexpected.
1-800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
I was the last guy you'd expect to get diabetes. I was a competitive runner and I always took care of myself. So when I was diagnosed, it kind of threw me. But it's really encouraging to know I'm not alone with it. There are a lot of other people going through the same things as I am. It takes some effort. You have to keep after it. Exercise, meds, and diet are the key. But there are a lot of folks who want me to succeed. Diabetes is not the end of the world. With effort and attitude, you can have a normal life.
We're back. Welcome to Aging Horizons. This is a program brought to you by the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services. Today our guest is Lindsay Carter. She is the Division Administrator for Senior and Long-Term Care. Lindsay, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, Lindsay, I know you've been the Division Administrator for a bit now. So tell us, how did you get about becoming the Administrator?
Yeah, thanks, Wilma. I'm really excited to be here today to talk about our division. And I have been the division administrator for formally about a year now. And It has been a very exciting year to get to learn about all the great services that our division administers in Montana. Prior to joining Senior Long-Term Care Division, I had been with the Department of Public Health and Human Services for about 11 years.
Oh.
Yeah, my background is in the field of intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Okay.
I actually started out as a respite caregiver, so I would be a respite worker helping to provide that service for families with children with developmental disabilities. That was my first job in the field. And then from there, I held several positions within the developmental disabilities program. Finally, 3 years as the bureau chief of that program. And then was very fortunate to be able to step into the Senior Long-Term Care Division. This division also supports people, provides services to people with disabilities, which is very near
right
to my
down
heart.
your alley.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, great. So let's get into this. You lead a critical division with the Montana Department of Health and Human Services. For our viewers who are starting to navigate the world of aging services, what is the primary goal of the Senior and Long-Term Care Division?
Yeah, so our primary goal is really to advocate for the dignity and independence of Montanans that are older as well as people with disabilities. And so the services that we administer are really around ensuring that as our neighbors age, they have the support that they need to live a high quality life. Within our division, we have a number of different programs that really span the gamut. So we have things like the non-Medicaid aging services, like the home delivered meals, all the way to skilled nursing facilities. And so we really have a full continuum of care, which is intended to support older Montanans. I'd like to talk a little bit more about our division structure, if that's okay for a second.
Please go ahead.
Because I learned a lot about this that I didn't know, and I think it's great to share this information. So within our division, we have three primary sections. We have our Community Services Bureau, which has the Medicaid services. So that is going to be where our Big Sky Waiver is, our Community First Choice Community personal care assistant services, as well as our skilled nursing facility services. So those are all
services under your division?
Under our division, and they're Medicaid services. So Medicaid's the payer. We also have a section called our Aging Services Bureau. So this is, I think of it as our non-Medicaid services. So the services that are funded through the Older Americans Act. Those are services that are available to that are mostly available to all older Montanans. So that is going to be things like home delivered meals. People often think of it as Meals on Wheels. Congregate meals. We have 130 senior centers across the state. And we have a whole, our ombudsman program is out of that section. So we have a whole bunch of programs in the Aging Services Bureau as well. And then finally, we have Adult Protective Services. Adult Protective Services has trained civil investigators across the state, and I think you've had Adult Protective Services on recently, and so you probably did a deep dive into what they do, but they're critical for protecting older Montanans and other vulnerable populations from abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And so we have these, while we have this whole variety of services available through our division, really one of the cornerstones is that we want to make sure that people have choice in the services that they receive, so that it can meet your specific needs, because we know it's not a one-size-fits-all. And this is really critical for Montana. I think there's a lot of information out there, so people are probably well aware, but Montana has the 6th highest percentage population of people 65 and older. 20% of our population is in this age bracket, so it's really critical that we have a robust service delivery system to serve older Montanans.
Great. A huge priority for Montanans is aging in place. Can you tell us about this program, like the Big Sky Waiver, that helps seniors stay in their home instead of moving to a facility?
And we know from through multiple ways that aging in place is a high priority for Montanans. This has changed over recent decades. So now it's not just a given. People don't necessarily want to move into a facility. Some people do, but many people want to stay living in their home, in their community. And we have lots of services to support that end goal. So before I start talking about the Big Sky Waiver, I like to plug the services that we have available through, that Aging Services Bureau, those Older American Act funded services. So there's a lot that happens through that program that also supports people aging in place. And so those are the things like home delivered meals, and there's other supportive services, as well as, again, those respite services that really help those family caregivers keep their loved one at home for longer by giving them a break.
Thank you, Lindsay. We will be taking a break right now, and then we'll be right back. So stay tuned. We will be right back. We've been talking to Lindsay Carter, Administrator for Senior and Long-Term Care. Stay tuned.
If you knew your next-door neighbors couldn't afford to stay warm this winter, you'd want to help, right? Thousands of our fellow Montanans and Montana businesses are stepping up with a tax-deductible donation to Energy Share Montana, a nonprofit that helps more than 3,000 of your Montana neighbors stay warm this winter. Find out how you can help. Call 888-779-7589 or go to EnergyShareMT.com. Thanks, Montana.
Can you say ombudsman?
Ombudsman. Ombudsman?
Uma Doodlesman? Fortunately, you don't have to say it right to get the help of a long-term care ombudsman. If you or a loved one reside in assisted living or long-term care, an ombudsman can help resolve any issue. And these services are completely free and confidential. Now, why don't you try that again?
Ombudsman.
You've probably seen some big-name celebrities on your TV lately talking about all the Medicare benefits you're missing out on. But the insurance companies who are paying for these ads may be pushing benefits not available in Montana. Fortunately, help is available from a friendly state health insurance assistance program counselor who can help you sort it all out. It's free, and we screen everyone for eligibility regardless of your zip code. It's Montanans helping Montanans. Call today.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
We're back, and this has been Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Wilma Collins, and we're talking to Lindsay Carter, Division Administrator for Senior and Long-Term Care. Lindsay, we're back. Just before the break, you were talking about the Older American Act and the services that keep people in their home. Please continue.
Thanks, Wilma. Yeah, I really like to make sure people are aware of these non-Medicaid services because they are critical in keeping people aging in place as they prefer. But in addition to those non-Medicaid funded services, we do have the Medicaid funded services as well. And so the Big Sky waiver is our flagship home and community-based waiver program. And it is specifically designed for people who meet a nursing facility level of care, meaning they could get services in a nursing facility, but really would prefer to stay in their own home or an assisted living facility instead of going to a nursing facility. So in order to qualify for the Big Sky waiver, not only do you have to meet that nursing facility level of care, but you also have to be Medicaid eligible. That's a big one. It's a big part of it. But these services are, they do a lot. There's a lot of services that are that really help to support people aging in place. Those include things like an environmental adaptation, so that could be like a ramp, or different modifications to your home to make sure that you can stay living in your house. So grab bars, that kind of a thing. There's a whole variety of adaptations that can be done to help people continue to stay in their homes. There are personal assistance services, so those are the kinds of services that provide some help with things like bathing or meal prep, some light housework, those kinds of things.
People coming into the home.
People coming into the home and giving a helping hand. Somebody might need just a little bit of extra help with their personal care to keep them safe and healthy, and that is one of the services through the Big Sky waiver. We also, again, I keep talking about respite. It's a really critical service because we know that many people in our state are receiving a lot of care and support from their own family members or friends, and sometimes you need a break to keep doing that. And so the respite service is really to give caregivers a break and have somebody come in to help for a little bit, give them a break. Rejuvenate. It's better for the caregiver and it's better for the person who needs that assistance. So those are just a couple examples of services available through the Big Sky waiver. Our Community First Choice program is also a Medicaid service, and it really focuses on those personal assistance services. So those we call them activities of daily living. All of those things that we do to take care of ourself, as well as keeping our home safe and livable. So that can also include things like transportation to medical appointments, or some help with taking your medications, those kinds of things. So those are some of the key programs in our Medicaid section that really keep people at home thriving in their communities.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that information. Now, when families are worried about their loved one's safety, whether it's at home or in a facility, what role do Adult Protective Services and Long-Term Care Ombudsman play?
Thank you. Yeah, these are two really important roles within our state, but they're distinct from one another.
Okay.
Sometimes there can be a little confusion. So think of Adult Protective Services, APS, as our safety investigators. So they are taking in reports of abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation of any vulnerable adult, including older adults. Their role is to intervene and work with law enforcement or providers to ensure the person's not in danger. And so sometimes that is referral for additional services.
Right.
Sometimes, unfortunately, it means turning things over to prosecutors or to law enforcement to take it to a whole different level. So they provide that important service. While the long-term care ombudsman are more advocates for residents in facilities. So they're in our assisted living facilities and our nursing facilities, and they're not inspectors. They're not there to inspect the facilities. They are really there to help problem solve for the residents of these facilities. Their sole purpose is to advocate on behalf of the resident. And so if a resident feels like they're not being respected, or if a family has concerns about quality of care, the ombudsman steps in to investigate and resolve those complaints. And we have ombudsman and APS investigators across our state doing this important work every day. So APS is about stopping harm and exploitation in any setting, while the ombudsman is about protecting rights and quality of life within facilities in Montana.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, thanks so much for that distinction. So let's go. As the division evolves, you are overseeing some major shifts in how services are delivered. What are the key projects on the horizon that will improve the way seniors access and receive care across the state?
So one thing that I want to highlight that's been covered in the news recently, because it's a big deal, is the Rural Health Transformation Funding. Montana, for our first year of this funding, received $233 million in federal grants awarded. That was late last year. And we are launching the Rural Health Transformation Program currently.
So, Lindsay, we will take a break, and then when we come back, let's continue the discussion with the rural health care funding.
Great.
So, stay tuned. We'll be right back. We've been discussing and talking to Lindsay Carter, Division Administrator for Senior and Long-Term Care. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
I have so many questions about power of attorney. Well, some powers of attorney are for finances and others are for healthcare decisions.
A power of attorney designates an agent who would make decisions on your behalf.
While making a power of attorney, you have the ability to control your agent's power.
You also have the ability to decide when that POA would take effect.
Wait, am I giving away all my rights? Power of attorney isn't a license to make any decision for you, just those that you've specified.
Your agent should be somebody that's working in your best interest, but it should also be somebody that you would trust.
What if they try to abuse their power?
Protective measures like third-party accounting accounting, secondary signatures, defined spending and gifting limits can help protect against financial exploitation. An agent's powers can always be limited by a customized power of attorney, and they can be revoked by you or the court if the power of attorney is abused.
So carefully drafted estate planning documents can help ensure that your finances are monitored but not abused.
If you or someone you know is being exploited, please report to Aging Services Bureau at 844-277-9300 or the Legal Service Developer at 1-800-332-2272. This message sponsored by the DPHHS Aging Service Bureau.
I've been shooting since I was young. It's something I've always enjoyed. I wasn't feeling like myself, but my friend noticed. He asked if he could hold onto my guns temporarily. At first, I was a little shocked. But then I agreed. I think he saved my life that day.
We're back, and we are continuing our discussion with Lindsay Carter, Division Administrator for Senior and Long-Term Care. Lindsay, as you were saying about the rural health funding, please talk to our audience.
Yeah. So this is a 5-year initiative to stabilize rural hospitals and expand access to health care across our rural state. So this is of benefit to older Montanans because some of these initiatives through rural health will help make sure that seniors in Ekalaka have similar access to healthcare services as someone in Helena. That will be that's the end goal there. So I wanted to make sure to mention that. Yeah. We have a specific project within rural health that will be looking at modernizing reimbursement for skilled nursing facilities. So that's exciting. But we have lots of other things going on as well. A big project that we're working on is Montana's Olmstead Plan.
Okay.
Now, Olmstead was a decision that was, back in the late 90s, and it is intended to ensure that people are receiving services in the community and not institutionalized. And so we've been working on developing a Montana Olmstead Plan. So again, it's about moving away from institutionalization and making sure that people have access to services within their communities. Through our Aging Services Bureau, we are about to kick off the next 5-year plan to ensure that we're addressing the needs of older Montanans across in their communities. And so this work will involve the area agencies on aging working within their local communities to survey and gather information from their citizens and residents in those areas to help inform their area needs. And then that will come into our statewide plan, which will help us to make sure that we have service availability across the state.
And we're delivering the services.
Yes, yes.
All right. So if someone's watching today, realizes that they need help for themselves or a parent, what is the very first step they should take to access these resources?
Yeah. So the front door to many of our services is through our area agencies on aging, or we call them AAAs.
Right.
These areas, these AAAs are really the experts in their specific communities, and they offer lots of services, some of which are like options counseling, where they'll sit down with you and look at your financial situation, if you'd like, and your medical needs, and then help determine what programs you might qualify for. With many of our AAAs also have aging and disability resource centers, which is an important part of all of this as well. Another good option for navigating more on the Medicaid funded side is making a call to Mountain Pacific. Mountain Pacific is the entity that the Department of Public Health currently contracts with, and they help determine eligibility for some of those services we were discussing before, like the Big Sky Waiver or the Community First Choice Program. Again, you have to be Medicaid eligible to access those. However, they have care navigators who can help complete those screenings and assessments to see what kinds of services you may be eligible for. Yeah. So, you know, in Montana, I just want to close by saying long-term care is not just about care in facilities like nursing facilities. It's about being able to choose how and where you live. from the investigative support through Adult Protective Services to the life-changing home modifications through the Big Sky Waiver. And so if anybody watching or a parent needs a hand, please use the resources we talked about, and a simple phone call can make a big difference in staying independent in your home.
So, yes, thanks so much for that. What would be your words if I missed this program today and someone was talking about it? What's your final words to the audience? Hey, what we do at Senior Long-Term Care?
At Senior Long-Term Care, we are here to make sure that older Montanans are able to choose the services they want to receive and have the ability to remain in the communities and aging in place as they wish. It's important to plan ahead and to be proactive. And so don't wait for an emergency. Don't wait for things to get to a point where the help is critical. Plan ahead and reach out to some of those entities that I described before with the AAAs, your area agencies on aging, as well as Mountain Pacific, or you're always welcome to call our division directly. We have staff across the state who are here and who are ready to help older Montanans navigate the service delivery system.
Well, thank you so much. We've been listening to Lindsay Carter, Division Administrator for Senior Long-Term Care Division. And she has been giving us a lot of good information to pass on to our loved ones, to our elderly relatives, and all of that. So, Lindsay, to close, we still have another minute. So, to close, I want to know, I know that you spoke about all the programs you had, and you were talking about the funding. In 30 seconds, tell us about that rural health funding you were talking about.
Well, Wilma, it's a big deal for our state, and especially given how rural our state is. And so there's been an advisory group that has been formed that has broad representation. The area agencies on aging are a member of the advisory group, and there are a whole lot of initiatives that will fall under that, from working on workforce development to, again, having innovative healthcare delivery solutions for a rural state. So there's a lot of work that's going to be happening there, and there's a website that you can go to, and people will need to stay tuned because it's going to be exciting.
Great. We've been talking to Lindsay Carter, Division Administrator for Senior Long-Term Care. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for being on this program.
Thank you.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.